Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to manipulate and create objects in SketchUp. So some of the tools that you'll need are the move tool right over here, this push and pull tool, rotate, and scale. So these are also up here. And to start off, we can draw a flat 2D shape, and this button gives you options of different shapes you can draw. You can also draw different shapes using the same shapes that appear in the large tool set, or you can draw shapes using a line or arcs. So I'm just going to start off by drawing a rectangle. And I'm going to use the push and pull tool to give it dimension. So I just selected an edge and pulled it up. Each shape is going to have edges and faces, and you can select them individually and manipulate them accordingly. So edges are going to be the ones you use the most, so you can delete edges to create rooms or openings. You can also hide these by selecting and then right-clicking and hiding. You can also rotate the shape using this rotate tool. And if you hover over the shape and slightly move your mouse, it'll select an axis to rotate the shape on. So when it's blue, it's going to rotate along this axis. When it's green, it's going to rotate along this one. And when it's red, of course, it's going to rotate along this one. And you just have to press on an edge or a corner, and you can rotate accordingly. When you reach an access point, it'll highlight and let you know that you can rotate it according to that axis. Okay, you can also scale these by either pressing S or selecting the scale tool up here. You can scale it in a bunch of different ways. You can also use the move tool to distort the shape. Like I mentioned, you can, edges and faces are going to give you different effects if you manipulate them. So if you manipulate an edge and you select the move tool, or you can also press M, you can select a point and then move that point, and it'll distort that shape. You can also use the line tool to create shapes. And whenever you're using the line tool, a lot of the times it'll pick up the axes, so you can draw along those. So see how it's being highlighted as green, it's picking up that green axis point or line. With these tools, the shape tools and the pencil or line tool, you can specify your length or width, any measurement, and you can do that by simply pressing at a point and then hovering, extending the line, and then leaving your mouse alone, and then typing in a measurement. So let's say you want it to be 3 feet long. You'll type in 3 and then the correct measurement symbol for that, so 3 feet. And it'll automatically draw that line for you without you having to guess. And those measurements will appear down here under the length tab. You can also do the same thing with shapes. So you can do the same thing with a rectangle, but here it'll give you 2 dimensions. It'll give you the length and the width. So you can put both of those in by typing in one of the measurements first. So you can do 3 feet. And once again, it's showing up down here. So I'll do 3 feet, and then you'll want to put a comma between the 2 measurements by 8 feet, and it'll draw that those dimensions out in the rectangle form for you. You can also use the circle tool to create curvilinear shapes. And whenever you want to give a specific dimension to this, you're putting in the radius. So that's half of the diameter. So if you want the circle to be 4 feet wide, you would want to put in 2 feet, giving it a 2-foot radius. There's also the Polygon Tool. If you want to use the Polygon Tool and give it more sides, you can do that by selecting the Polygon Tool up here or in your large tool set. Start drawing it, you know, by picking a point, and then move your cursor out a little bit, and you can type in how many sides you want. So if you want 8 sides, you would type in 8S. And once again, it appears down here. You have to put the S behind the number because that indicates to the program that you're talking about sides. So then it'll give you the 8 sides, and then you can, after that, specify the radius. Okay? So then obviously the difference between the polygon and the circle is that with the polygon you can specify the amount of sides, and with the circle it's just a circle. And whenever you use the push and pull tool to give the object some volume, as you can tell, the polygon is obviously going to have rougher edges. So if you want to use the Polygon tool and then soften the edges, there is a tool for that. You can go to Windows, Default Tray, which is this tray over here, and you can add soften edges. I already had it in mind, but once you do that, you can select the 3D object, the 3D polygon that you just drew, and then you can move this point to soften the edges. Another tool that can be found useful here is the Ark Tools. There's different ways to draw arcs. There's a 2-point arc, there's the center point arc, there's a 3-point arc, and then there's a pi arc. I typically just use this 2-point arc, but you can use whichever one you want. With this one, you draw 2 points, and the 2 points let you know how wide it's going to be. And then you give it dimension, or you give it the arc that you want. And by pressing the up arrow and the 2 side arrows, whenever you're drawing something, it automatically fixes the axis that you can draw that on. So I just want it to go straight up, so I'm gonna click the up arrow and it automatically locks me into drawing along that axis. Okay, so that's how you draw an arc. You can also use this offset tool, and the offset tool will just offset whatever object you select. So if you select the offset tool and then pick a point from where you want to offset, and don't click out, just keep pressure on the left mouse key, you can then specify the measurement. So if you want it to be offset by 3 feet, you can do that and it'll offset it. But if you just want to offset it without a specific measurement in mind, you can press and then move it around and then let go of the key to set it. And then the last tool that can be found helpful here is the Follow Me tool, which can be used to create a variety of different objects. A lot of the time it's used for moldings within a room, but you can use it for different shapes that you want to create. Maybe furniture as well. So to do that, you basically have to create a path. So I've created an arched path. You can do this by using a line as well. It doesn't matter. You just have to have at least a path for a shape to follow. So once you have a path, you can draw a 2D shape. You can do that using your pencil tool. You can use one of your shapes to create the two-dimensional shape. I'm going to use a circle, and I'm just going to put it right at the end of this path. And once I have that, I'm just going to select the Follow Me tool, select my shape, and then select my path and drag it along to the end. And that creates my shape for me. So those are some of the different tools you can use to create and manipulate shapes in SketchUp.